Okay, we're getting real into it. We're spilling the tea today, guys.
Yeah, I totally
This
agree.
isn't just a book thing. This is a life thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we get YouTube, we can do funny videos, but I feel like we can also be genuine and talk about things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Bookish Box channel. My name is Destiny.
Hi, I'm Justine.
And today we're going to be doing a tag that we made up ourselves.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's probably some other version of this tag somehow, somewhere, but we're calling it the Please Don't Do That book tag.
Yes.
And it's things that we see in books that we just wish that authors wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And I do want to do a quick, what would be the word?
Disclaimer?
A disclaimer that a lot of these things are still in books that I love, and that you can say, just like with America, can you say, I can say I love something and like something and still see issues within it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can say that I love a lot of these books, but I can still say these are issues that I find with it.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't feel offended or called out if you're oh, that sounds like my favorite book. Just know that I might also love that book. It's just I'm saying I just wish that authors in general wouldn't do this anymore,
mm-hmm.
and that these tropes would kind of just stop.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. And I hope that people read this and watch this and will either say yes, they feel the same way, and that authors will say we feel the same way too. And that this is this ends up that this is something also, because I feel some of this stuff, if this trope has to do with you personally, if you're a character like this and you're seeing yourself projected in a book this way,
mm-hmm.
it can kind of be harmful to you.
Yeah.
So hopefully you know that we see that these tropes are not healthy, and that we instead would like to see more characters that are genuine.
Yes.
And not this.
And if you have any that you can think of, you can leave them in the comments.
Yeah.
And let us know. We'd love to hear them.
So again, as a please don't do that tag.
Yes. Yeah.
So the first one is, it is what I wrote down was NA slut shame. So, an NA, if you don't know, it's new adult books. I see this more in high school / new adult books,
mm-hmm.
where
college.
Yeah.
College.
A lot of times it's basically a girl going to college or to school and making a new friend, or just seeing another girl. And a lot of times our main character has chosen or is grown up in a more conservative household. So she is either more comfortable or has always just chose to wear more clothes that cover her body. She doesn't really wear a lot of makeup, whatever it is. And those are her personal decisions. And that's not what my issue is. My issue is that when enter some other girl who does not feel that way, and maybe she wears a short skirt, or she wears makeup, or she goes on dates with lots of guys, or maybe she is okay with hooking up on the first date. All of those things are okay. And I guess what I don't like is I feel whenever that character is reflected on in these books, it's immediately slut shaming. Yeah. And I feel that's really
we're
crappy.
Against her kind of thing.
Yeah, it's our main character talking about her in a way that is very shaming. And I hate that. I feel this is the age of women, and you should be able to dress how you want. And if you want to explore and date around, you totally should be able to. And if you're not somebody who wants to do that, I think that's okay too. But I feel that's a personal decision. And I feel my personal decision should not decide whether or not you're a good person, or how you, or shame you into being a different way. And I feel a lot of, mostly in the new adult category, do I see, it's always these books where they're going away to college, or they're starting at a new job, or they're in a new town. Mm-hmm. It's always they're in a new situation, and it's well, back home I always did this and da. And then some new girl is different, and suddenly she's a slut. And I hate that, because I feel if I was reading that book and I'm wearing a short skirt, I'd be I would immediately feel shameful. And I feel I hope that nobody feels that way. And I hope that authors find another way to describe people, and even if they are trying to create some extra friction between this character and another character, that they find another way to do it. Yeah.
Besides their,
because honestly, when I read books like that, I think it says more about the author, or the main character than it would about this other person, and it's negative, and then I don't like the main character anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
I guess the author is not as much, because I'm hoping that they don't feel that way. They're just writing a character that feels that way.
Yeah.
And I get that there can be a disconnect, but I would just like to see less of that.
Yeah. They're probably oh, well, I just saw a teenage movie that's how the popular girl is portrayed, so I'm going to put that in my book, because that's how they're portrayed, and that's how people would understand it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the next one is fat people villains. So, hey, over here, I'm fat and plus size, and I'm okay with it, and I'm not just okay with it, like, I love myself, and I just wish that more characters in books where the women are fat or curvy, however you like to say it, are not either A, projected as these people who are villains. See, the Dursley family, it's the Dursleys, right?
From Harry Potter.
Yes. From Harry Potter. They're all fat, and it's something that's brought up, and he's spoiled, so he's fat, and I just feel like, man, if I had a child who was a little thicker, I would be like, really? Like, my kid reading Harry Potter, I would feel uncomfortable with that. And this is from somebody who loves Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. But, like, I would maybe second guess if I want my child to read that, because I'm like, I don't want the main person that they're seeing in the book and how they're represented as overweight to also be, one, a villain, and two, a spoiled kid. Yeah. Or the parents as well. Like, I just feel like that's not a positive projection. But also there's this thing that when they do include like fat girls in books, a lot of books will instead make the book about her journey to loving herself, which always includes losing weight. Like, I want to love myself, so I need to look like this. And some books try to make it more of like a healthy thing, like she's doing it to get healthy, which, okay, cool. But at the same time, I just feel like, can we have more books written about girls that are fat, who are trying to accomplish their dreams or make things happen or fall in love, and it has nothing to do with, like, losing weight is nowhere as part of the journey for them at all. Maybe, like, loving themselves can be part of that journey, but, like, losing weight to love yourself should not be part of anybody's journey. Yeah. And I would love to see more books like that. Julie Murphy, she writes all of her heroines are plus size, and I love that she doesn't make it about them losing weight, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, also I was gonna say, like, usually, like, plus size people are also portrayed as, like, either, like, super, if they're not the villains, they're super shy, they, like, don't talk to people, they're, like, shut-ins, they just kind of, like, do their own thing, they're, like, by themselves.
And hi, have you met me?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, that is none of my experiences with any.
Yeah, because guess what? This is something crazy, but fat people are just people.
Yeah.
So we come in all different kinds of personalities.
Their personality isn't because of their body type at all.
No. And I think, I understand, like, for me growing up, I was probably, like, when I was younger, I was thin. And when I first was not thin, I think I was self-conscious about myself, but that changed, and I would love to see more books about just women who are, like, normal. Like, you can be any size to be normal,
with, like,
but
how you portray.
Yeah, and I will say the majority of America is not a size 4. They're considered plus size, and so I just feel like we should have, even, like, in fantasy and adventure books, like, I feel like anytime you have a plus size heroine, it is always a book that is because there's a plus size heroine. But, like, in a lot of, like, fantasy and adventure books, there's never plus size heroines. And I personally really love fantasy books, so I would just like to see more of that.
Next one, abusive relationships. Authors or books just in general like to make
TV shows too.
Oh my gosh, TV shows and movies. Oh my gosh, just love to make it, like, romanticized and, like, that it's, like, beautiful, and then it's, like,
it's so sexy when he like doesn't trust you are where you are, so he shows up there to verify,
or, like, follows you, and
or when he's, like, so upset that you're talking to another guy because he loves you so much that when he's talking to you, he, like, hits something. Yeah. Like, that's not sexy. That's abusive. That's manipulative. And
not just physically abusive relationships, mentally, emotionally, like, all
dependent relationships. Yes. That stuff is not healthy. And I have such a hard time because I don't feel like it's authors' responsibility to always write perfect characters, because that's not human. So, like, here's the thing. In high school, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like most people can say in high school, I probably had a relationship where whoever I was dating wasn't healthy to me. Whether it was, like, overly controlling. Yeah, or I was overly controlling. Like, I always had to, like, looking at your significant other's phone is not okay. And I know that I did that. Like, that's distrusting. Like, if you don't trust them enough that you have to go through their stuff and their privacy, you probably shouldn't be with them, and you probably need to, like, take a look at yourself. So I feel like authors writing these characters, I get it. They're writing real people. But I feel also that in my real life, at some point, I realized that these are not okay, and I would like for that to happen in these books at least. Yeah. Like, I just don't want this romanticized for 3 books and then have them end and never be like, wait a minute, also, so these were kind of abusive.
There's never like a self-check. Like,
There's never a check. There's nobody in her life being like, hey, what's going on? Or his life being like, hey, why is your girlfriend all over your crap all the time? Like, why doesn't she trust you?
Or, why is he always like slamming doors or
and why is it that you're blamed? Like, because one time a dude talked to you, it's your fault that he's always checking up on you. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like in a lot of books and in TV shows, this is something we see a lot where it's an abusive relationship, verbally or physically, controlling relationships, and they are romanticized, and then they end. It's never, like, the book ends and they're still together or something, but it's never talked about, and that's not okay. And I see more and more that more authors are not doing that, or if they do, they write books talking about that this is what abuse looks like.
Yeah.
It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I loved that book, and I feel like that was a very real way to talk about those things, and without romanticizing it, but with also at the same time making you see, like, this is why some people stay in these relationships.
This is why it's foggy. It's not like black and white. It's like,
at what point did it become abusive? And I think that those books are really cool. So I feel like if you have to write a character like that at some point you have to have some kind of check.
There needs to be an evolution.
Yeah.
Or there should be.
4, we're on 4.
4.
Is Save the Princess. Man, I just want some princesses to save themselves. And I feel like, awesomely enough, right now there is a trend in fantasy and adventure books where our lead people are females and they don't need somebody to save them. And in fact, they're saving other people. But Save the Princess, I think, doesn't just apply to an adventure. It applies to women all the time. And I feel like
a high school book is always like, she goes to a party and she like gets a little too drunk, and some boys comes, like the boy that she's been interested in for 5 years, like, has to save her from something. That always, like, it's never the guy that comes and saves a girl from a party. It's always girls that, like, like, I better help her out. I can tell she's having a
And there are good guys out there.
Oh yeah,
that's fine. But I just would like to see more, like, not just in fantasy and adventure books. I would challenge our contemporary writers to write women characters who are strong and who don't always need saving.
Yeah.
Like, and if they do need saving, can we let some females save them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That took a really long time for you to do that.
Because I was talking to them. Almost dead, but no one ever dies.
Yeah, they're like so close. They're like laying on the ground, like breathing, and then like
they're fine, and then they recover.
And then they recover.
It's like adventure and fantasy books, man. When somebody has, as an author, and you know what, this can go both ways. I get it. Like, this is how they view their story. Who am I to tell them, like, well, this character should have died? Like, what if that was not what they saw for their story? That's not what the character told them to do. For whatever reason, however you write, okay, fine. But I have to say, when I read any type of, like, adventure or fantasy book, when all the characters are always in life or death situations, they're barely going to make it out alive, and the whole book, okay, let's talk. It's Breaking Dawn, Twilight for me. Oh my God, the whole book was about them, like, they're probably not going to make it. They're fighting all the Vittori, like, it's going to be so bad. And then there was literally no fight scene. No one died. And in the movie, they had to, like, even, like, overcompensate for that by creating a fake fight scene that was their premonition. Like,
yeah.
Because they were like, we can't have a movie where we build up to this and then she decides, like, we're not going to do this because she's so powerful. Like, that's crazy. And I feel like so many adventure books, people are, like, holding these characters so tight that they are never going to die. And it sucks. Like, I know, like, we all know characters in books where they've died and it was so hard and we're, like, so sad that they've died. But at the same time, like, I just feel like I'm like, yeah, you went there, though. Like, the author, like, went there. They weren't, like, afraid of us being mad at them for killing off a character. And if anything, I, like, love that character more. Like, that book, like, stayed with me because I, like, wept about it. Yeah. I love that. Boys Not Talking. Okay, so this one maybe you don't see as much because I feel like this might not be in the books that you read, but I feel like in a lot of romance books, I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just because my husband is, like, a super chatty Cathy that I'm like, boys talk, but, like, I don't know, I know so many men and they're all like really comfortable and they're talking. Yeah, they're brooding, and you can be brooding and still talk, but there's so many books where, like, when the guy goes to speak, it'll be like, and he grunted yes, he grunts yes. Yeah. And I'm like, or he gave me a look. I'm like, there was one book that I was like, the male character in this book actually out loud said, like, 10 words. Yeah. And none of them were sentences. Like, who is this guy? And then what is their connection? Because, like, every romance book, for the most part, they're not just physical connections. Like, you're made to believe that they're in love with each other. Like, we will end the world to be together. But I'm like, but you guys aren't talking? Like, there's no talking happening? So how do you, like, have more of a relationship beyond physical?
Wait, so you're not talking?
Wait. So you didn't talk to each other, but, like, you love each other?
Yeah, weird.
Huh. Yeah, no. So, like, I just would like to see.
Yeah, I don't read romantic.
And I feel like that's really, really, like, I don't know.
But I
and maybe, and I know some women, like, here's the thing that's weird with romance books is, like, everything is okay in the romance community because I'm kind of, like, in this weird spot where I want to advocate for women to have a fantasy, and your fantasy should not be policed by people. So, like, if you like guys that are Christian Grey, then I don't think that I get to tell you you're not allowed to. Like, I feel like then that's, like, almost anti-feminist to be like, no, you're not allowed to think that's sexy, sorry, because it's bad. So I guess that ties back into, like, abusive relationships. Like, if you're not personally, like, idolizing an abusive relationship in your own life, but you don't mind, like, a controlling book boyfriend, I mean, that's your decision, and I can't, like, tell you how to like and how to love and what to be into. I will say, like, the hottest thing about Rhysand is the fact that he fully, like, trusted and supported and, like, looked at Feyre as an equal and was like, you make your own decisions, like, you're strong enough, I'm not going to tell you, you're not allowed to come with me to fight and do these things. So, and I like that, and he was still kind of, like, a cocky jerk, so I feel like you could be both those things, but I feel like in books, when the men don't talk, and maybe some women are into that because they're like, I wish men would talk less.
Yeah.
Maybe they're into that, but for me, I cannot connect to, like, any male lead when he only grunts and, like, barely murmurs and doesn't really talk. It's more of a me thing. I don't think it's problematic at all.
Yeah. The only book that I read that I like how I'm connecting it in my head is, like, Twilight. Where, like, the first, like, of Twilight book 1, like, literally half the book, he was like, he stares at me from afar. And he gave me a look, and I knew that he wanted me to follow him into the forest.
Yeah.
Like,
no one has ever given me a look that I knew what I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Except for maybe, like, my mom, like, and I'd be like, shoot, whatever I'm doing, I should not be doing.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, something's wrong with me right now.
Yeah.
But, like, I've never been given a look and been like, and this is the direction I should go. Or, like, oh, he's looking at me like that. Now I know we're going to get married.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know those things. So the last one is over-explaining. I guess for me, I like world building to feel organic. So I kind of like to learn about how things are by watching them happen. So, like, instead of telling me that our character is poor, I prefer when an author shows me because they are going from one room to another, like, looking for the shirt they share with their sister because they only have 2 shirts or whatever. Like, something basic like that lets me know, okay, they're living in poverty without you having to say they live in poverty. I feel like, and that's kind of a basic thing, but it's something that, like, especially from, like, my early, like, book reviewing days, that I could a lot of times tell when a book had been edited professionally and not, because they would try to over-explain things. They would try to tell me the whole, especially, like, in fantasy building, like, world building, they would tell me all about everything with this world and why it was created this way and why there was these issues, and, like, the first 3 chapters, and there was no, like, organic growth. I didn't, like, see things. I had to be told everything. And so by the time it came for the characters to talk, I was, like, over the book because I was like, no.
I just built a whole universe in my brain.
And I didn't enjoy it because it wasn't, like, it didn't feel organic. Mm-hmm. And so that one is kind of like a writing pet peeve I have because I did used to do, like, before I did anything else, I was reviewing books. Mm-hmm. And that was always something that I would, like, in my head, like, knock off a mark for when I'm, like, it makes it so hard to move with a story and feel like there's continuous movement through the book if you're having to explain so much to me. And I can handle, like, a slower book for sure if there's important details and things like that. But I think that if you're writing a book ever and you're having to tell the reader over and over again every detail, that you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out, like, how can I show them? Like, how can I show them there's, like, some, like, struggle between this character and their parents without saying they don't get along with their parents. Instead, show me that when they're dealing with their parents, that there's a tension. Like, I just feel like that's good writing. And that was something that always used to, like, get under my skin a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we wanted to be positive, too, because I feel like I don't want it to be just like we're just doing that. So first I want to say...
We hate everything. Nothing is fun for us.
A lot of these things, I see more of them when I read older books than I do when I read newer books. Because I feel like a lot of the problematic things authors are way more conscious of. And things, just like how the same way I feel like if I go back and I watch Friends, I'm like, oh, this is really, like, homophobic. This is really, like, fat shaming. Like, let's talk about Fat Monica. And I love that show, and I can still like laugh thinking about items of it. But when I look back, I'm like, okay, this is really problematic. So I know that our things now are different than they were before, and like the culture that it is now was different than when J.K. Rowling wrote it. So now there's more calling out to things like that.
Yeah.
But I would like to see. I want things to keep moving in that direction.
Yeah.
So things that we were like, please do more of this.
Yeah.
I think for me. One is create characters who are fat. Like, I want to see more fat characters, and I want them to, like, get the guy or do this and do that and make a book that's not about them losing weight. Yeah. And I, like, touched on that before, but, like, just can I say that? Can somebody write a fantasy book where you mentioned her size or the way she looks and you don't, and it's not that she's, like, way thin.
Way.
Like, she's just so tiny and skinny.
Or it's not.
And it's not negative. Yeah.
Way. Yeah, it's not like she... like going into detail about like how it was like ruining her life or how it's like affecting her negatively.
Like, and on that note, can she eat, please? Like, so many books, the main characters are always like either they don't really eat.
I had one bite of salad and then I couldn't eat for the rest of the day. I was so full after that.
Well, and it's not even just like that. It's more like it's like the way that they eat, or like that they. Like, it's kind of, like, some books none of the characters ever eat because the author was like, that's not important to me. And I read those books and loved those books. Yeah. But I think if you have them eat, like, the idea of, like, I don't know, sometimes that's just the way people eat in books. I'm like, but that's not healthy. Like, that's not normal.
Or not realistic.
Yeah, that's also not realistic. Like, let them eat fast food. Yeah. Like, a lot of people eat fast food all the time. So when your character always makes food at home, that's kind of weird. Yeah. Healthy relationships, obviously. I'd love to see... more relationships like Feyre and Rhysand where he like respected who she was and didn't like try to control her or punish her for not always doing what he wants. I feel like that's really great. I would love to see more relationships like that. I don't need the guy to be like a pushover nice guy because obviously like that's the thing is I felt like there's a really great balance and I feel like that's why so many women like that is their book boyfriend is a book boyfriend who can be cocky and funny and almost like hard to get but at the same time like respects you as a person and looks at you and says this is a human, I don't get to control them. I really like that. Yeah. It's like, can we see some positive female friendships?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, yes. I don't even think we talked about in the don'ts.
Yeah, the don't is we're sick of catty girls. Yes. We see a lot in books and TV shows and in movies. I just feel like there's not enough female relationships that are like not catty, not mean to each other. They're not and I feel like that's a cheap shot for like on TV shows. I feel like that's a cheap way for them to figure out how do we create drama, and tension in this scene or this series with these characters. Let's make the girls catty. And I just feel like women are so much bigger than being catty. Like if you're being catty to somebody, like look at you. Yeah. But two, like I don't experience that very often. Can we just talk about like the book community really quick? I know and I'm friends with like my competitors, like the other book boxes that are doing what I'm doing and we're all going towards the same market. And at the end of the day, we are competitors. But also at the end of the day, I'm like, women, like this is a female ran like book box business. There are that I know of book boxes that are ran by just a dude. And that is so cool. And I love all these women in this business because I'm so like impressed and empowered by what they're capable of doing. Makes me feel like, I'm capable of things too. And we are supportive of each other. Side note, I had a person who ordered a box and then like based off of photos, obviously, because that's what you do. And then decide that she hated our boxes based off of photos and then canceled. We refunded her, but that like wasn't enough for her. She was just like deeply angry at us and then went on Facebook and like went on this huge rampage just hating on us, and she never even got a box. And I feel like if I was in any other industry, I'd be like, oh, this is not a real person. This is a competitor just trying to trash my business. But in this industry, with all the women I get to work around, that would never happen because even though we're competitors, we are good to each other. Yeah. And I feel like if we're not catty to each other, then really like that to me, I can't think of instances where women are consistently catty that I've experienced outside of like elementary school. Yeah. And I know in high school, women can be rude to each other, and I know that happens. I would love to see less of it, but I just feel like, can we stop projecting all women as being like catty, crazy women? In the real world, at least in my world, like my most positive relationships are with women. Yeah. Like the people that I trust most, people that I turn to when I'm like really like it's not. I'm never like like I'm most vulnerable with women.
Yes, absolutely.
And I feel like I would like there are so many books that do a really great job of building strong female characters.
And relationship, like I want to see there's so many that are focused on
shout out to Rainbow Royale. I love how she does that.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people who do that, but we're saying, can we do more of it? Like we want to see it in more books.
Yes.
This next one, I feel like there's like this movement for this, and I still don't see that we have as much. Like I feel like sometimes it's still like an afterthought, but I want to see more diverse characters, more characters that aren't white, more characters
LGBTQ.
that I want to see just more characters that are not just me. Mm-hmm. So I guess overweight characters is me. So I would like to see that. I would like to see more women characters. I would like to see trans characters. I would like to see gay characters. I would like to see all different kinds of people. And people who are on like different spectrums of sexuality too that aren't even really well, what is the word I'm looking for? Represented. I would like to see more of that. And I feel like a lot of authors are really pushing that, and whether they're writing what they know because those are the people that are in their lives or because they see that there's a need. I think that's really great, but I would like to see more of these characters written and more of these characters written as like our main characters. Like I don't think your book is diverse because the girl has a friend and her friend is gay. Yeah. And you see that character a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Every couple chapters. And that's great. Cool. Because girls who aren't gay still need books written about them. Mm-hmm. But I think I would like to see some characters who are not. And in a casual way too, I just read a book and it's one of the books we're putting in our boxes, so I'm not going to say what it is because it's not for till a little bit. But one of the characters is bi, and they did it in such like a natural, just kind of like casual way where they're showing you these things. Again, they didn't tell me, they showed me, and I really liked the way that happened. I didn't feel like they were trying to be like, and here's our token gay character, and here's our token black character. Instead, they were like, well, so-and-so and so-and-so, and oh, they're going off with their boyfriend, this is that, and that's it. And then this, that. I prefer that, and I think that that's a really, like, I want to see more diverse characters, and I want to see more diverse authors, too. Like, I want to see, David always talks about how there's like a genuine way, which would be that I want to see a book about a gay character written from somebody who's gay. Yeah. And not, like, and I think that it's not like you can't write a good character if you're not that character. Yeah. Totally not saying that. But I think it would be cool, based off of even what my friend David said, that like it would be cool to see genuine characters in the way that they are written from the person who has lived those struggles. And that's why they can say, like, I have lived a life that is a little bit different than yours, and I want to write about that in a way that so you can understand. Yeah. There's this quote that I love. I don't ever remember who it's by. But it says that, like, whenever you have a monster, like, classic monsters don't have a reflection. And it's because that when you grow up without a reflection, you can turn into a monster. When you can't see who you are and what you could be and what you aren't, you can turn into a monster. And books are a way of providing a reflection to everybody. When you see yourself in a book, I think it creates opportunities to grow, to be a better person, to be more aware of who you are, to feel empowered about who you are, all of those things. So I just feel like everybody should see a reflection in a book, so which means we need to make sure we're writing characters for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a writer, so I cannot do that. Yeah. But there's some really great things happening right now in that whole arena, and I just want that to blow up.
Yeah. Our last one is characters that wear makeup. We want to see more of them. We don't know why they aren't. Like,
why they're like unicorns in the book world.
Yes, like women and men wear makeup in real life. You go to Target,
most women you see are wearing makeup.
I'd say 70%. That's
maybe even more. And that's people running out to Target sometimes where they're just like running out quick in the middle of the day and they put their hair in a bun and they're wearing pajama pants. Like,
that's me right now.
They're still sometimes wearing makeup.
And I'm wearing pajama pants and I still have a full face of makeup on right now.
And like, it's not just because I'm live. Like, there's two parts that, like, I want to see more women wearing makeup and I want it to be a positive thing. Like, I feel like the only time that I really hear makeup mentioned in books is like if they're going to go on a date and then I'm like, are you putting makeup on for him? Because I hate that. Like, there's these really cute shirts, like, I didn't put makeup on for you, and I love that. Like, I hate when I'm on Facebook and there's, like, an ad for some type of makeup or something, and there's all these mean comments from people being like, well, I hate her makeup, or he shouldn't be wearing makeup, or this or that, and it's like, there's too much makeup. Like, do you think they put makeup on for you to like him?
The comments to
like, do you think that when they got ready that day, they were like, oh, I think Betsy from Phoenix, Arizona is going to really love my makeup. Like, no, like, makeup is a form of self-expression, and I wish that more books did it. And it doesn't have to be like, I don't need a whole book about a character putting makeup on.
Yeah.
But like when they're getting ready to do something. Yeah. But when they're getting ready to do something, I just feel like it's normal, and I would expect it that they would either mention makeup, but instead it's like, it's not like either, if you're not going to mention it, that's fine, but instead I feel like they don't, it's not like they just don't mention putting makeup on, they mention the lack of makeup, which I'm like, wait, what? Like, you have a girl, she's in high school and she's going to a party and she did a swipe of lip balm, like that's it? I'm sorry, but like, have you been to high school?
Yeah.
And it's fine. Like, if you don't wear makeup, that's your decision, and that's cool. Yeah. I just am like, why aren't more women wearing makeup in books? Because a lot of women wear makeup in real life. And I feel like women who don't wear makeup are very well represented in books, because most of our characters are like that.
Yeah.
But I would like more characters wearing makeup, and that way not all the characters that I see in books are villains or being called sluts.
I was just going to say, like, makeup kind of shows like
they're suddenly a vixen, and
it signifies like they're gonna do something to like to the main character that's gonna like mess with them a little bit, like she's got red lipstick on, she's gonna go steal your boyfriend, or she's gonna go try and whatever. She's like
a villain and she's like evil. Like most women wear makeup, and I feel like there's this whole movement where like at some point maybe makeup was used for a way for women for men's approval. Just like high heels, like they're men design. People always say that all the time, like, well, men created high heels, so they're for the man. No. Just because somebody designed something doesn't mean as a woman I can't take it back and say, this is mine, I'm doing it for myself, whether or not somebody else likes it, because I enjoy it. It's not hurting anybody. And I feel like with makeup, I would just like to see some characters who are like, I'm getting out and I'm not just putting aside makeup. After my full face is done, I head out. Like, you don't have to go into detail. But if you're going to take the time to mention how little makeup they're wearing, then maybe also do the opposite. And I don't think it suddenly makes a character who's self-obsessed or any of those things. And I think that's like the goal of making those signs where they're just like, oh, and I just did a little bit of mascara and left, because they want us to know that their character is like low maintenance. I feel like a lot of women can be low maintenance and not wear a lot of makeup or wear makeup. It feels artistic to me. It's the way that I express myself. It's a way that like my favorite features I get to accentuate at my own will with makeup. So why wouldn't we want our characters to do that too? So anyways, we really hope that this video was fun for you guys and you didn't feel like we were just complaining the whole time. But these are just things that we would like to see. And I'm sure there's other things that you guys want to see in books, or that you're like, can we stop seeing this in books? I again want to say, like, there are so many books that have these issues that I still love. I can love a book and still see some issues in it, and that's okay, and say like, we can do better. I still love this, but we can do better. And I feel like in our book community, so many authors are already doing better, but why not be like, let's have everybody do better?
And I feel like it's kind of like a call to attention, like if more people are not aware of it, because I'm sure people are, but like if we're saying like these are what's wrong, and we're like, oh my gosh, that is what's wrong, like why was I not thinking about this before? Then
that's the other part, is like I think that a lot of people might not be aware that this is something.
Authors write books for people to read, and so if people are like, I want to see this in books, it's
hopefully that
influencing the authors to be like, well, my readers really want a character like this, or want this.
Well, and the thing is, I feel like all of these are things that wouldn't impact your story or your characters or anything like that if you were able to work some of the stuff out. That's all.
And it's just that these are all personal opinions. If you have any of your own, you can leave them in the comments. We would love to hear if you have any do's or don'ts of writing things. Even if you just love them, you love the things that people do this. If you love authors that do anything that we mentioned, and you want to
call out authors that are like really killing it, that you want us to check out.
Relationships, they don't fat shame, anything like that. Leave them in the comments. We want to know.
And if you know a book tab that is basically this, and we just didn't know the name of it, tell us, and we will be happy to like credit them as well.
We just
didn't know anything.
We didn't know it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.